How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. On today's episode, we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about a man's wandering eye, or either gender, but primarily a man's wandering eye. We're going to talk about, and honestly, this is probably the biggest topic of the podcast, and it's going to lean into the next part. But something I've noticed when I've been coaching women, I've been coaching women for a very long time, predominantly women. I coach men too, but mostly women. And something that I've noticed as a pattern with women is you will date these guys that to me are either essentially projects, like guys that are like emotionally unavailable, or that you're settling. Essentially, that's really what it comes down to. And you try to stick by their side, and you do this thing where you try to fix them. You do this thing where you attract these people that are quote unquote maybe broken or whatever. And you try to stand by their side and act like, sometimes in my opinion, you're the one that's getting the shit end of the stick. And we're going to get into this. It's a really deep conversation, and I think a lot of women are going to relate to it. And probably men too, just hearing about probably women in their past and maybe even women presently, to this idea of, the fixer and then the broken. And to me, I'm really going to call out a lot of women for this behavior and honestly, it's both sides, but that's going to lead us into the final topic, or maybe the final topic, but we're going to talk about just trust issues in general and how trust in 2024 and in our relationships, and probably this is not even a relevant issue just for this year, but forever. I think our fear of vulnerability is what is killing majority of our relationships. And that's what we're going to see in the example in terms of the fixer thing as well. So we've got a lot of great shit on the podcast today. I don't even know where to start. I don't even know which one I wanted to start with. Maybe we'll just start with how I'm feeling right now. So let's start there. I've been reading a fantasy book lately, and that sounds weird. It's like, what is a fantasy book? I picked up this book, and it's like, how'd you say, a fiction novel, And honestly, I don't really read a lot of fiction. And something really happened. First off, number one, I can't put it down. But number two, it's like this book that is so flowery and so, I don't even know how to explain it. The depth, it's like a fat ass book. So it's a fat ass story. And what I think really happens is when you have that length of time in a book, like the way that the writer is writing, he is writing almost as if he is writing from every single thought that a character is having. And it's really fucking cool because it's super deep. And what I mean by is it's very descriptive around the thoughts and the feelings he's having in a very descriptive way. Like he's like the way that he thinks about his family when he's taking a shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that is where he's at the book right now. And I'm like, damn, it really goes down to that like micro level, but let me not get too crazy on you right now. My whole point is, it's been really nice to start reading that. And it's really weird because I started reading that and the dreams I've been having have been way more imaginative. I made that word up, but for some reason, I feel like my brain is starting to like really think outside of the box. It really takes you away from just the minutia of the world. And I think that's what I really want to start this podcast off with is just this idea of getting away from the regular and the normal. I think about most people's lives, right? I'm a coach, so I hear a lot of the inner thoughts, feelings of a lot of people. And honestly, blessed being a coach, but the other issue is with being a coach is I have a lot of friends and I have a lot of family that also then, they might have shitted on me about a year or two ago, but now it's funny because a lot of people do actually come to me for advice. I guess they always have. But now I feel like what happens is I really hear the inner workings and the inner fears and anxieties of a lot of people. That's really what I do on a day-to-day basis is literally hours upon hours of hearing the way people are thinking and vulnerably thinking, right? I'm hearing the sides of people that they don't share with the rest of the world, right? Again, it's their fears. They don't want to share that with people. Like, it's not, you're not going to find it on social media, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And what I find is a lot of people, we're really judgmental of ourselves, really deeply, and what I mean by that is I find that a lot of people feel like they're not where they're supposed to be. That's what it feels like. It feels like a lot of people always feel like they want to be somewhere else doing something more. And it's a very interesting thing to think about because I'm starting to get older. This is a kind of weird conversation. I'm starting to get older, I'm like 31. And sometimes I look back on my 20s and I honestly, I relate a lot to that thought process. This thought process of like, oh, I got to do more. Oh, the next thing. And what's crazy is when you are in that fucking mindset, it's so hard to be happy. It's so hard to live confidently and live freely because you're constantly worried about either the judgments of others or honestly, I think worse off, the judgments of yourself. Also, the anxiety, right, is you're fearing what is going to come, right? Are they going to break up with me? Am I going to lose my job today? Am I making enough money? Am I going to survive tomorrow? You're always thinking, honestly, to me, it's human nature, right? Survival brain. I guess that's what I'm going to call it, survival brain. And I think a lot of people live in a state of survival. I think a lot of people live in a state of, to me, and again, because I know I relate to it because I also have done that for a very long time and I still get into that mindset here and there. But what I want to try to do is I want to try to help people get out of the survival mindset. I want to help people relinquish the control of the world and just life in general. And the reason I started off this conversation with the fiction book is, it's crazy how incredibly deep and amazing the present moment can be if you just allow that to be there. It's crazy. Like, for instance, when I just start sitting there and reading, I feel amazing. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how to explain it. And it's weird because it takes me a little while to get to the book. I have my worldly shit that I care about, like making more money or, finding love or whatever, right? There's all this shit that we're all chasing all the time. But I guess what I'm really trying to say is there's more to life than just fucking sitting there and constantly being in flight or fight or survival mode. It's like, I think in general, most people, we need to just try to relinquish a little bit more control. We need to try to relax a little bit more. Honestly, like I wish I could get all of the people I'm coaching in a room and I'm like, hey, can we all just take a collective, like deep breath and just relax? Like, yo, what's supposed to happen is going to happen. We're going to encounter pain in life. And I think that's what a lot of people, and again, let's talk a little bit about, I guess, trust issues. It's almost like that's what trust issues is you're going to live in this protective bubble, whether it's in a relationship or in life, right? And that's what fear does. Fear keeps you in a bubble. Yes, you're not going to get hurt. Yes, you're not going to take any risks. Yes, nothing bad, quote unquote, according to you, is going to happen. But at the end of the day, you don't ever expand yourself and you never live outside the bubble. If I were to tell you that, right, and I gave you that visualization, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, let's just say you're constantly in fear. Let's just say you're not taking any risks. Let's just say you're not being vulnerable with your partners. Let's just say you're not taking a risk at work. Let's just say all of that, right? Think about the way that you'd be living. You'd be living like Bubble Boy. Yes, all you would know is maybe the inside of your house. You would never know what is out there. Yes, you wouldn't experience any pain. Yes, you wouldn't experience anything out of the familiar. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's what's familiar. But to me, that's not really life. And a lot of people, in my opinion, are not really living. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm realizing. And this is such a weird thing for me to gather from reading just a fiction book. But I guess my point was, sometimes we are so caught up in trying to gather a result or get a result or know what the future is going to hold that we miss what's so great and right in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is like, you could live a life of confidence. You could live a life of happiness if you just relaxed. And guess what? You might get hurt sometimes, right? In life, you might get hurt sometimes. It's okay. In life, you might experience pain. In life, you might fall on the ground and cut your elbow. And you might, I've torn both my Achilles tendons. I'm still out here playing softball. You know what I'm saying? I'm still running around. I was really running the bases yesterday. I'm 6 months past my surgery. Most people would probably hang up the cleats by then. But I'm like, it's just part of it. And what I've recognized even from just, that even happening, I don't even really talk about it. But it goes by so much quicker than you think, right? The pain of it, the surgery, the rehab, you blink and it's behind you. It's gone. And a lot of us, we get caught up in just, again, trying to avoid all this shit. And again, especially in relationships, we avoid what the truth is. We avoid the pain of this situation. And what we end up doing is we end up just suffering, right? You end up just suffering. And that's what most people do, right? When people talk about how life is suffering, right? To me, that's what I envision. The reason that you're suffering and the reason that you're feeling so unfree is because of your lack of ability to allow yourself to experience pain. I hope that makes sense, right? In the sense that because you were so unwilling to take a risk, you always feel like you want something more, but you never actually get it because you're so afraid of failing or you're so afraid of the rejection. And is that not relationships in a nutshell? Is that not, think about it, that's dating, that's relationships. And what I mean by dating versus really, think about dating, right? Let's think about that perspective for a second. If you see a cute person and you don't say anything, you don't experience the pain of getting rejected, sure. But you will forever live in silent suffering of never actually taking the risk to talk to somebody. And the same thing in relationships, is it not? You could be in a relationship where you're not getting your needs met. And you are so afraid to rock the boat because you don't want to lose them, right? You're so afraid of being abandoned. So what you do is you sit on the sidelines and you just take it. You allow this situation to, by no means, it's familiar and it's comfortable, and maybe you have enough, but you never expand yourself. And what happens is you just live in silent suffering, do you not? You live in a relationship that you're settling for that isn't really meaningful to you maybe, or maybe you're just simply not getting your needs met. So what you do is, again, you just suffer. And you're constantly under anxiety and worry about speaking up or about saying something. But in both situations, right? Let's take dating again. The girl or anybody, a cute person. Let's say you take that risk. Yeah, that person could turn around and reject you for sure. But number one, you probably learned something, right? How to maybe, do it better next time. But number two, it's like you also have the possibility of it going right. You also have the possibility of that person also feeling you and being down for you. And the same thing in relationships. If you speak up to get your needs met, you have the ability to change the relationship for the better. You have the ability to create a better situation for yourself. And that's what I guess I'm really trying to say here about all of this stuff in general and in life. A lot of us live in this place of comfortability. We don't ever expand ourselves. And that's what I'm trying to say. I see it daily. Oh, I don't know how they're going to feel, or like, I want this relationship. But you know what people will do? They'll hide behind their vulnerability too. So let me get into this, because this is where I think it gets even deeper, right? This is where I think it gets even deeper. So let me talk about the wandering eye thing. No. You know what? Let me stay on topic. I'm going to talk about the fixing thing, because to me, this is a really big deal. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by the fixing thing and just how the lack of vulnerability is really crushing not only like relationships, but you in general, women in general. Because I see this mostly with my women. So I'm going to set the stage. So I'm going to give you an example. I have actually all of them. I have multiple clients where they're experiencing this. So I'm going to give you two big examples off the top of my head. First example is this. I had a young woman who was in a situationship with this guy. Pretty quickly, he asked her to be exclusive. I want to say within the first 2 dates. She then agrees to it. He realizes very quickly after that, that he's not ready for a relationship. So he's distancing himself, acting emotionally unavailable, right? Saying, whoa, this is too much for me after, again, wanting that. And this is where we're going to see both how men and women, their fear of vulnerability, both of them. This is why y'all find each other. Because all you do is you prey on each other's fears. So the man steps in and says, hey, I want exclusivity. Now, to a woman, what is her fear? Her fear is, I want that security, right? I want to know that I'm the only one. I mean, so does a man, right? In a way, we don't want to get hurt. A man doesn't want to get hurt. So that's what he does, right? His fear of vulnerability, he says, let's be exclusive. And what does woman say? Woman says, all right, 3 dates in, I don't fucking know you, but yeah, let's do this because that is what I want too. But yes, on the surface, you guys agreed to something that in reality, first off, you guys have not built enough time together to see whether or not you guys are both even worth that. But again, there's love there. So whatever, you guys connect. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But here's what happens. Now the fear of vulnerability on both sides starts to collide. So the man then, he distanced himself. After a little while, he realizes this is getting too close. This girl agrees to this exclusivity. He starts to push her away. He actually has really poor self-esteem. I would say both people really do. Most people, and I guess to my point earlier about this whole story I was telling is, most people do. Most people don't have the self-esteem that everything's going to be okay. Most people don't have the self-esteem that they can be truly vulnerable. Most people don't have the self-esteem to take a risk, right? Because why do people want confidence in the first place? People want confidence to take the risk. That's what it is, right? Oh, yeah, I would talk to her if I had more confidence. Well, here's the funny thing about that too is, how do you even get confidence in the first place? The actions of confidence come first. The feelings of confidence come second. I tell you guys all the time. So that's what's funny. That's the big conundrum with confidence is everybody wants it, but nobody wants to take the risk in order to get it. With that being said, back to our story. So he starts to distance himself. The true colors on both sides start to really come out, right? He starts to realize or distance himself because he doesn't now want to get too close. Now that it's getting too real, right? Because at first he was just trying to get her attention and get her on the hook. The man finally gets the woman on the hook. The woman, right, is initially fear, right? Fear is, whoa, take it easy, buddy. Take your time. But not really, right? Because she's like, well, also, I like that attention. I like how much energy you're giving me. You're chasing me a little bit. The woman finally says, all right, fine, let's do it. What happens to the man? The man says, whoa. What do you mean? What do you mean, let's do it? You were just holding me at a distance. And now you're asking me to truly be vulnerable. Now you're asking me to truly show you who I am. And what's going to happen is I'm going to start to do that as a man. I'm going to start to show you and be vulnerable with you about some shit about me. But that's also really scary for me as the man because I also feel if I'm too vulnerable with how crappy I feel about myself, that you're potentially going to fucking leave me. So now we have two people that want to be in love, probably, or, probably want something real. But what happens is now the fear that we have on both sides turns into, I need to get my needs met from you, right? The woman's like, no, you need to give me security, bro. And the man is like, whoa, no, I don't know if I could really do this. You got to show me that you like me through all of my garbage and through all of my distancing. Do you see where we're going with this? You see how you see what I'm saying? So here's what happens. The woman's plead is this. Hey, if you just give this a chance and you're just truly vulnerable with me, everything will be okay. Just give me that security. Just be my boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Just let's do this. Let's be real. The guy's like, no, I'm scared to be vulnerable. I don't want to do that. That's scary to me. And honestly, in my client situation, this is what would happen. He was appearing single and still doing his thing. She wasn't setting that boundary with him, right? Finally, she finds out that he was still actively saying he was single somewhere. I don't know if it was like a post or something. She cracks down the whip and she's like, I'm not doing this. Sets the boundary. Not a bad thing, right? Sets the boundary. Yo, the fuck? He ends up sharing a lot of things with her. He shares his fears around the relationship. Number one, they're a little bit distant. I think they're an hour away from each other. And he starts to share that with her and he says, hey, like, this is pretty long distance. This is like pretty tough for me. She's like, don't worry about that. Like, we can make it work. If you care, you'll just make it work. He turns around, tells her, hey, listen, I got really fucking hurt last time I was in a relationship. And to be honest, I'm really just pretty scared. You know what I'm saying? I'm scared of that. And I'm really fearful to let somebody in because last time that went down, there was like really deep, I don't know if it was suicidal type things, feelings, and he is scared for that again. So think about this, right? Fear of vulnerability on both sides. And I'll tell you why the woman is right now. So here's the thing. What does the woman attempt to do in this situation? A woman, and what she was doing, and something that I was hearing from my client was this. He's sharing these things with her. And what she's doing, instead of seeking to understand his perspective, was plowing through his perspective and just trying to secure the relationship. And what I mean by that is this. In the story that she was telling me, she was like, yo, this doesn't matter, right? Like, if you just would take a chance with me, like, all of this would be okay. Like, I know you like me. Like, just do it. Just, you know what I'm saying? We just need to do it. Now, here's the thing. She might not be wrong about that. That's the thing about this situation. I truly believe if he allowed himself to be vulnerable, she would follow suit. But what happens is men have these walls, right? And maybe they truly are not ready for a relationship. And this is where you get those emotionally unavailable men, right? They hang out in this area, the fear of vulnerability. And the problem is women kind of have an idea around that. So their idea is, oh, if I just please, or if I just do nice things for them and show up for them and just tell them that everything's going to be okay and accept their poor behavior, they will finally let me in and accept me. But that's not how it works. Because here's what's happening. In my opinion, right? By you trying to barge through that man's walls, either through pleasing, right? And what I mean by that is, let's say this man has a fear of vulnerability, and there's two options for women. You either barge through his walls by just pushing the relationship on him, or the other option is you settle, right? You allow his crappy behavior and you please him to death, right? You know what I'm saying? You just do whatever he says, or you accept the relationship as it is. In both situations, that is actually your fear. That is your fear of you wanting security in the relationship. And instead of just being vulnerable, letting him know that you care about him, but not just setting healthy boundaries and letting the chips fall where they fall and letting him either figure it out or he doesn't, you then push this relationship on him. And also, this is what makes him resist it more, right? Because that's what's funny is you trying to please him by either just doing super nice things for him, not speaking up for yourself. What happens? He doesn't respect you. He keeps that distance, and then he continues to treat you like shit. But on the other hand, let's say your boundaries are super strong and you're just pushing and forcing your way through. That's also not appropriate either. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the times, and I'm just going to be honest, with a lot of these women that I coach, and it's just fucked up to say, but like what you'll do is you'll just keep trying to set those boundaries with him, but you never actually are vulnerable with him about your fear. And what I mean by that is you don't allow him into your fear of you don't want to be vulnerable, right? You don't want to tell him, hey, it really hurts me when you do that. I actually really do like you. I actually do want this relationship with you. I actually do want something serious. And I do understand that you have these fears. I'm willing to work through them with you. But you got to treat me with respect. That is the approach. And it needs to be patient. And it needs to be understanding. But a lot of women, y'all too, that's what I'm trying to say. This is manipulation on his end, right? Because again, he's keeping you at a distance, and then maybe fucking around doing his own thing. But he doesn't trust you. That's the thing, is the man does not trust you as a woman when you're pleasing, right? Because again, underneath, you know you want security and he knows why you're doing that shit, and then he doesn't respect you because you're not respecting your own desires and speaking up for it. Or you're not truly being vulnerable with how you feel about him, and you're also running away when it does get hard. And then you're just telling him, well, it's because we're not boyfriend, girlfriend. That's why I'm running away. I don't need to talk to you anymore. Unless I'm your fucking girlfriend, don't talk to me. Is that really how you build a vulnerable relationship? Is that really how he's going to learn to trust you and feel safe with you? And that's what I'm trying to say, is that like women sometimes will point the finger at men and be like, they're fucking liars and they do all this shit. It's like, well, were you truly there for him? Did you truly create a safe space for him to be able to share the way that he truly feels? But also at the same time, you're not being a pushover. At the same time, you're not pleasing. You're being very direct about you wanting to feel safe as well, but also sharing your vulnerability as well. And I think that's the missing piece for a lot of women, is you are so scared to get hurt. So what you end up doing is you don't share that with him because you don't want him to know that, because guess what? If you shared that you're scared that he's going to hurt you, you feel that he's going to devalue you. And isn't that what both sides are doing? The man doesn't want to be vulnerable with you. Why? Because he doesn't want you to take advantage of his vulnerability. And the woman, you don't want to share that with him because same thing. You don't want him to take advantage. You don't want to share with him that you want something deeper out of fear that you're going to lose him because of that. If that person runs away because you shared with them that you care about them and you want something deeper, they're either not ready, they're scared, or they don't like you that much. That's what it comes down to. But here's the kicker. You could share that information with them, but how you react after that is very important. And same with them. Because what will happen is this. And this is why if you could heal yourself and you could love yourself deep enough, you could actually be a healing presence and get the relationship that you want. That's what's crazy, is we think that it's all about finding the partner that is the right one. No, that's not true. It's you becoming the right one. That's the key behind relationships. If you become the right one, guess what? You can find a relationship. You could heal the right one. You could heal the other person. If they are willing and ready to be vulnerable, that's the key. They also need to be that too. They do. Let's say in this scenario with my client, right? What could she have done better? Number one, seek to understand a little bit more. Don't just barge through. Hey, the long distance is a problem. Why is that? Explain that to me. Oh, well, when we're distant, it just is hard because I don't see you that much and it makes me just feel unsafe. Whoa. Now we got to a deeper layer of the problem. Instead of just saying, oh, it doesn't matter. Pff, just date me. You get what I'm saying? I hope you guys are understanding. When he's telling you that he's scared to be vulnerable with you, the key for you is not to just force it out of him. really what you should do is create a safe space. And how do we do that? You got to share your vulnerability too. But that's the thing is, most of y'all are emotionally unavailable yourself. And when I say emotionally unavailable, what I'm really saying is fear. Fear-based. You are scared to be vulnerable. And that's what's fucking hilarious, is most women think that it's men. But no, women, it's y'all. Y'all too. You are scared. You are scared that they are going to hurt you. So you play this role of what you think that they want, and you don't ever actually share how you feel. And what's funny is the man knows that. He takes advantage of that because, number one, his own fear, but also it's just like, how is he really supposed to trust you if he could tell that you're truly not being vulnerable? That's what's crazy, is we all know each other's inner thoughts and feelings. If I want something, you're going to know. I don't even need to say anything. That's what's crazy. It's energy. So my whole plead to you. Oh, okay. Let's talk about this situation a little bit deeper, because I was getting to the point of what she should have done better. Seek to understand, right? Seek to understand. Why did that hurt you? Tell me more. I know that, you really struggled with that. Why did you feel that way? Well, I just felt like I wasn't enough for her. I just felt like, I don't know, and that really hurt me. And now I'm really scared of being vulnerable because last time I was like, and I really tried for somebody, like they really took advantage. And women, I'm sure you fucking relate to that. That's what's crazy. But that's the depth that we need to get to in relationships. And most people live on the surface. Most of y'all live on the surface. You don't get deep. Because here's the other thing too, what I hear a lot from my coachees, I heard it today. Oh, but they're always reactionary. Oh, they never take accountability, but they. It's always they. It's always them. My whole point is you only have responsibility for you. You want a better relationship? Communicate better from your end. I don't give a fuck about them. I don't give a fuck that they're not taking accountability. You want a better relationship? Start learning to trust yourself. And yes, you got to start getting more vulnerable. Honest. So in that particular situation, here's the thing. I'm not even saying that you're just going to automatically get this guy to date you. But I guarantee you will have a way better chance when you are standing on the things that you truly believe, which is, listen, I care about you a lot. I do love you. I do want a relationship with you. Genuinely, that's what I want. And I am here for you. That's what you fucking say. And if he's like, oh, no, I can't do this right now. Respect the answer. Respect the answer. It's not time to please. It's not time to go back and just say, okay, that's fine then. Now you're not respecting yourself. And this is when you're getting fucked over. But when you stand on it, right, you're vulnerable. You tell them that you care. You let them know. And then they're saying to you, oh, no, I can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. Two results are going to happen. Number one, either they get more vulnerable with you and you heal the relationship and you get closer. Or number two, they push you away and they keep that wall up. And if they keep that wall up to you, you need to have the strength to be patient, to trust your desires. So what happens in that situation, if homie turns around and says, I'm not ready for this, guess what? Homie's not ready for it. The only way that relationship is ever going to take hold and take shape is when both parties are ready to be vulnerable. But here's what the funniest fucking thing. I guarantee you, if you were truly that vulnerable and you were truly that confident in yourself and you truly love that person and were truly being open, vulnerable, supportive, and confident, self-confident, homie would walk away and he would say, oh, I don't know if I could do this. 1 week later, 2 weeks later, oh, fuck. I did actually care about her. And oh, shit, she She told me that she really did care about me and that she would be there for me. I probably should reach out to her. Because guess what? Why is he running away? He's running away because he's scared too. Most relationships don't end because of a lack of love. That's what's funny as fuck. When I see two people that have been going back and forth at each other for a long time, I'm like, just give me 5 minutes in there, please. Because what's happening right now is we've just gotten so far away from the objective of the relationship, which is we need to create a safe space for both of us to be truly vulnerable about the way that we feel. But we don't actually get to that place unless somebody starts to take the responsibility for being vulnerable. So that's why I was calling out women, right? Because, this idea of, because let me tell you, right? I have another client where this guy has no self-esteem. He got cheated on by his ex-wife. He has terrible habits right now. He got insanely overweight. He's not paying his bills. And that's what's fucking crazy is this girl is coming in there and pleasing she started paying the bill. She started telling, I'll do whatever. I'll take care of whatever. To be honest, I think you're more emotionally unavailable than he is because he's at least showing you that he doesn't love himself. Whereas on your end, no offense, ladies, is to me, that's manipulation. You so badly want security from some fucking person that truly is not in a place where they can even give you a relationship that you try to force the security by just being there for them. And that's how you'll pose it. Oh, I'm just here for you. Hey, what do you need? What do you need? You know what you want. You want a relationship. And when he's not willing to give that to you or he's not showing up for you and you're not setting the proper boundaries, that is manipulation. You are emotionally unavailable. It's not just him. And yeah, he might be terrible self-esteem and really, going through it. But to be honest, I think you're worse. Because you're looking at that situation and saying to yourself, "Oh, I need to fix this. Oh, if I just hang around longer, that will do it. I'll get him. I'll clean this up." And then you take responsibility for his masculinity and then call him emotionally unavailable. That's the funny thing is because he's distancing himself because he doesn't fucking trust your ass. He doesn't fucking trust you. Why would you love somebody that doesn't love himself? You understand? The man knows that. He knows. He's like, I don't even love me. How does she love me? That doesn't make sense. And that's what's so funny is that's why he is so fucked up about the fucking other girl and he doesn't give two shits about you because number one, you're pleasing and it's a massive turnoff because he doesn't even love himself and you're loving him and you're not setting boundaries. And it's manipulative. It is. Woo. Relationships are hard. They're tricky. But that's what I'm trying to tell you is that my whole point is this. If you are ever thinking to yourself, they are not doing something for me, I need you to take that statement and turn around and ask yourself, what am I doing to cause this behavior or to contribute to this behavior? It's not your fault, right? But at the same time, you're contributing to it. You have 50% responsibility to the relationship every single time. And so let me give you my own personal example, right? So let's talk about trust issues. And this is what it is. What is trust issues? Trust issues is fear of vulnerability. It's fear that somebody else is going to take advantage. And what has Chris really experienced his whole life? Think about Chris. Let's think about Chris Nappy for a second. This is me, by the way, for people that don't know. Let's take a look at the timeline. And before he's done all this work on relationships, and before he was very conscious of all these things, how did Chris Nappy act? Well, I'll tell you. What did my fear of vulnerability get me? So let's start with my role models. Divorced parents, no contact parents, mother who's single still, and she was the primary caregiver. Dad, distant, just recently kind of got himself into a relationship. I think my dad's done some work to get there. Growing up, to be honest, I didn't really have solid relationships. I think I had one solid one in high school. The other one I felt like I was chasing. And then after high school, I'd say my first serious relationship, I got cheated on. And why did I get cheated on? And somebody might say, "Oh, I feel so bad for you, Chris." I'm here. I'm just gonna say radical shit because it's just the truth. If you have a pattern of getting cheated on, that's your responsibility. Something's wrong there. I'm just keeping it 1,000. I'm keeping it real, and I'll show you why in a second. Now, I'm not saying that her actions were right, but what I'm saying is her actions were a reaction to the situation. And most partners with me, they don't get that close. And that's what happened, to be honest. Because what did I do to that first serious relationship? I kept her at a distance. I always kept her on her toes. I always kept annoying her. And what I mean by annoying her is like, I would purposely be toxic and create distance in the relationship. I know it. And I think most men, this is what I'm trying to tell you. I'm giving you the man's perspective on it. Eventually, I would push her buttons. I told you guys, I went to Atlantic City. I called her up after. I said, "Hey, I had a confidence boosting weekend." Why am I doing that? I'm doing that to create distance in the relationship. Distance, toxic behavior, talking to other girls, toxic behavior. Toxic is when we create distance in a relationship. That's what toxic is. So whenever you hear toxic, I want you to think of distance, intimacy, closeness. We're trying to create what? Intimacy. We're trying to create closeness, safety. Toxic is I'm keeping you at a distance. So I'm keeping her at a distance, keeping her at a distance. What happens? Sleeps with somebody else. At that point, I didn't think she would ever do that. But that was my fear, right? And what happened? My fear became reality. Because I was so scared to be truly vulnerable with her and let her in and truly allow her to be in my life, eventually that button was pushed. And that's why I'm telling you, if you get cheated on multiple times, more than likely you have a fear of vulnerability. That sounds weird, but it's true. Because what happens is you never let somebody truly in, and guess what? They couldn't hurt you. I'm not saying that it's completely on me. She should have never done that, and she has said that to me multiple times. And I truly believe that woman, because I know if I ended up dating her later on in life, and I know for a fact later on in life she would not do that to me. I know she wouldn't. Fast forward. Not really dating my ex. Very distant, had a year, knew I didn't really love her. Distance, right? Distance in the relationship. Yeah, I was in a relationship, but wasn't truly intimate. Wasn't truly love. Get out of that relationship, on and off sex for like 5-6 years. Meet another girl. To be honest, she was also one where I started to try to become more vulnerable. Never happened. I thought I really liked her a lot. But honestly, I didn't really know what love was. And I was still playing the games. I was still keeping the distance. And I attracted what was supposed to be in my life. Just to keep it real. And I'm pretty sure when I look back at it now, I think she was fucking around with other people during that time. Just to keep it real. But what I do, I kept her at a distance, and I wasn't truly being vulnerable because I was scared of being hurt by her. Which, I'll be honest, there's some partners where, guess what? Their fear of vulnerability is what makes you feel that way. It's both sides. That's why I try to tell you, it's not 100% on me for these things. It's 50-50. That girl was not giving me true vulnerability either. So what did we, and is that not majority of relationships? It's just two people that are scared to be vulnerable. And this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys about every relationship. That's really what every relationship really is. 90% of relationships are that. Are two people that are scared to be vulnerable, so they keep each other at a distance. They manipulate each other to try to get their needs met from each other. And ultimately, those relationships end up failing, either in cheating, either in somebody getting over the pleasing, and they're just like tired of it. You're not being assertive and confident enough, quote unquote. Keep going, right? Long distance relationships, wasn't ever truly vulnerable with these people. I think I'm getting better. I'm getting more conscious and understanding myself. I'm trying to be a little bit better, but truly I'm not being vulnerable. Eventually I get to the Texas one that was the start of this podcast ever, the uncomfortable introduction. Think about that. I was talking about how this girl flew somewhere else and slept with somebody else. But why did that happen? Isn't this fucking hilarious? This is the pattern. Chris doesn't allow that person in, and eventually that girl turns around and does something like that. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, you need to fix yourself, and I hope you're seeing it from my story personally. Man or woman. And this is what I'm realizing is those trust issues that you have, guess what? They're going to come true. If you don't learn to truly be vulnerable and speak your truth and allow somebody truly in, you keep them at a distance. Eventually they burn you, and then you turn around and blame them. Instead of looking at yourself and saying, well, what if I just allowed them in? What if I just said, you know what? All right, hurt me. If you want to hurt me, but I actually just care about you. I actually love you a lot. I do want this. But it's very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. So, and I guess that's where I'm kind of at with the trust issue thing and kind of where I'm at in my relationships today, right? It's like, and you even saw it with the long distance situation that I was just in right now, I'm still in right now. You look at it and same thing, keeping her at a distance. Now we are literally at a distance, a very far distance. But instead of the route that I would normally go, which is, all right, I'm just going to dip, or all right, maybe we shouldn't date, or maybe we should do a situationship. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I don't know if I could do this right now. Let's take it slow. You know what I'm saying? And now don't get me wrong. I think we do need to take shit slow at the beginning. That's a fact. Guys, I want you to take 4 to 5 months at the beginning of a relationship to feel that person out. But once you get to a place where you're like, okay, they're showing up for me and they're doing it every day. At some point, the wall's got to come down. At some point, you just got to if they're going to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. And this is what I was talking to you about at the beginning of the podcast. Let's take it full circle, baby. The bubble boy, right? Yeah, you can never take that risk of being truly vulnerable with somebody. But what will happen? You'll end up like Chris for majority of his life, which is I'm single all the time because I've been unwilling to allow somebody to hurt me. But what's happens is by not allowing people to hurt you, they end up hurting you anyways. You know what I'm saying? That's what's mind-blowing about it. Is you keep everybody at a distance for so long, eventually at some point they get sick of waiting. And I guess that's what's going to happen. I guess, even take back the situation with my client, with the guy, and I'm like, hey, just be vulnerable. Let him know that you care about him. And, if he's still scared, then he's scared. That's his burden to bear. He's Chris, right? Every guy is Chris. To be honest, we're all the same. Really, I truly believe that. Now, a lot of guys have differences, nuances, right? Some guys are more anxious. Some guys are more avoidant. I'm probably describing more of the avoidant men, which to me is the majority. But he needs to feel that and allow that. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so for instance, long distance situation. The reason that I care about this girl more than the other ones is because she's actually the first girl to hold boundaries and be patient with me. Isn't that crazy? The person that was truly vulnerable with me about caring about me and actually patient, but still held her boundaries and didn't allow BS. She created the perfect situation for me to allow myself to be more vulnerable and to give her a true chance. And this is where we're both kind of healing each other. I could feel it with her too, because I know she's scared. She shared with me the other day how she is scared that I'm going to hurt her. And I was like, yo, you never told that to me. You never said that to me. And what she was doing was this. When I came back into her life, she was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see. Remember how last podcast I was talking about how she doesn't know if she wants to see me? Well, the follow-up to that was this. After I shared vulnerably with her, and again, look at how me being vulnerable, I shared vulnerably. I said, hey, listen, I'm sorry that I picked that fight. The reason that I picked those fights with you is because I just genuinely want to see you. And that is an important need for me in this relationship. And that is why I've been so hard on you about it. So in order for me to move forward in this relationship, I think I need to find some time to see you. Vulnerable. What does she do? She returns it. Hey, the reason I haven't been so open about wanting to see you and making that plan is because I am scared that you're just going to leave again. I am scared that you might not show up for me or you don't care about me like that because you've left so many different times. I was like, fair. I understand now. Now we're at a depth in our relationship where we've created safety, where I said to her, because even in the voice note that I sent to her about that, I was like, listen, I'm not going to abandon you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just going to dip, right? I want to give this a full chance. I want to see where this goes. And that's what I've learned about relationships over the last 10 years is you really don't make progress unless you just allow somebody in and you take some chances and you take some risks. And ultimately, if she doesn't see me or we don't see each other and we move on from each other, hey, at least I was vulnerable. At least I was honest, and same for her. Hey, at least we tried, honestly. Maybe it's not the right situation, but maybe it is. Maybe we figure things out. Maybe we truly do. But all I know is the success of our relationship hinges on truly open, honest vulnerability and smashing and trying to overcome that fear of either abandonment, fear of vulnerability. I can't have trust issues if I'm going to have a successful relationship. That's the truth. If I can't learn to give trust, I'm toast. I'm done. So if you're sitting there and you have trust issues, it's never going to be the other person's fault that the relationship doesn't work out. That's the truth. Because you're not going to be willing to be vulnerable and let anybody in. And I've had to learn that the hard way. And again, I'm not resentful or regretful for anything that's happened in my life. It is what it is. It took me some time to learn that. But now I know, Now I know it's just good communication, honesty, vulnerability, just be real, just be genuine. And that's what's crazy is when you start doing that, people start becoming attracted to you because also now you're self-assured and you're confident. You're confident in yourself that even if it doesn't work, that you're willing to take the risk. And that's when people are like, whoa, that person's awesome. He's just letting his heart out like that? Wow. So I hope you guys learned something about the vulnerability piece and just how important that is. And also just if you're pointing the finger and you're in a situationship, just wake up. Just wake up a little bit. It's not just them not being vulnerable with you. It's you probably, if you're thinking to yourself right now that your partner's not being vulnerable with you, I could almost guarantee I'll put all of my money on it that you're not being vulnerable. Facts. You're not. Because if you truly were and you were truly creating that safe space, I truly believe that they would show up and they would do the same. Most human beings that I've met now and what I'm realizing, take my relationship for example. When I'm actually vulnerable, my partner is too. And if they're not ready to be vulnerable yet, you'll sense that. You'll feel that. But here's the key is to not try to barge down their wall after, right? You're not just saying, fuck it. Like, well, just figure it out. You say, okay, let me know when you get that figured out. And you have that's the thing, right? This girl, for instance, the one I'm talking to, there's been numerous times where I've ran away from her. And I said, whoa, she still stayed pat. Yeah, she didn't have great boundaries in terms of calling me and shit. But it was just because she genuinely cared about me. She didn't even care about the relationship, if that makes sense, like where it was going. She just genuinely gave a shit about the human being. And that's what I guess I'm trying to tell you is like, that is the thing that we miss in relationships. How can you show up in a relationship and genuinely care about the other person? I guarantee you, if you genuinely just cared about that person, showed up for that person genuinely, did those things genuinely for them, but also still genuinely cared about yourself and the things that you need, and you find that perfect balance and harmony of communicating those things and getting your needs met, and also at the same time really actually caring about them, again, that's how you become the one. That is how you become the perfect partner. That is how you find love, and you could find it over and over and over again. Because again, I think deep down, we all want that same thing, right? We all want that vulnerable, real relationship. And maybe for some men, they're not ready for it. Maybe for some women, they're not ready for it, right? Again, maybe your fear is way too strong. That's why I said, dating Chris at 20, how the fuck would I know this information at that time? You know what I'm saying? So here's the flip side of the coin. When I talk to a 20-something-year-old about their relationship, I'm like, yeah. You don't know shit, you dumbass. But it's okay. I probably don't know shit still too. I'm sure when I'm fucking 40 years old, I'm going to be a fucking wizard. But with that being said, I do believe that I do extensive amount of reading and work on this to the point where like I've jolted myself probably ahead. And I guess I'm just at the point where I think I now understand what it takes to be in it. But again, it's a lot easier said than done too, right? Again, think about taking the risk to talk to a new girl, right? Or a very attractive person in person. I could sit here and tell you what to do and try to tell you to take the risk, but genuinely getting on your feet and speaking to that random stranger human being, that's another thing in itself. And I can sit here and tell you, hey, be vulnerable. And then you turn around, you're like, all right, I'm going to go do it. You walk up to your partner's like, fuck off. And you're like, nope, not today. I'm not being vulnerable today. It's not it. They don't seem like they're in a good mood. I think I'm good. I'm going to take a back seat today. Today I'm going to settle again. Today I'm going to please again. And today I'm not going to speak my truth once again. And it's just going to be the same shit. Woo. So, yeah, easier said than done. But I guess what I'm trying to tell you is take the risk, be vulnerable, be confident, trust yourself. Remember, pain is part of life, right? Remember the fantasy, live in the present. You know what I'm saying? I hope this is all painting a picture. Let me talk about the wandering eye thing for a half a second. I know we've got a little bit of time. And just want to point this out. So if you were listening to this podcast for the wandering eye thing, sucks to suck, bitch. Sorry, it's at the end. But really quickly, the reason that this came up is I've had multiple clients this week reach out to me and ask me about their partner and about men specifically and the glancing at other women. So I did, you know me, I did the research. So I looked up some like psychology behind it. And what I found was it is very hard for a human being to not glance or look at beauty, right? It's very difficult to just not. So if there's an attractive person in a room or whatever, your partner more than likely will glance and have little looks towards that person or that thing, right? And both genders do it, right? Think about it. If you see a very attractive woman, let's say a woman, then that's another thing, right? But where the line is really crossed to me about the wandering eye thing is this. If they are gawking where they're like staring, they have the audacity to say something to them in front of you, or C, they speak about that person to you in excess. It's one thing for them to say, oh, that girl's cute or something like that. And even then that's probably pushing it. But it just depends on your sarcasm and your comfortability in the relationship, right? So maybe you're the woman and you pointed out, hey, that girl's got a big ass. And then he's like, I know, that shit's crazy. Normal. But if he's bringing this shit up like, oh, damn, babe, you see that girl over there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's really like digging in and laying into it. And then like a couple hours later, like, that girl today. Like, and he's sharing this with you openly. To me, that's a massive red flag. To me, that's where it's crossing the line. What are we doing? And for the men, bro, what's good with that? You know what I'm saying? If you're speaking about another girl in front of your girl like that, that's fucked up. Just point blank. And to be honest, like, that's just kind of scummy. You know what I mean? Like, what you do on your free time, I mean, I guess so be it. But if he's acting like that, to me, he sounds like a jackass. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that would be red flags, right? If he's speaking about her, talking to her, overly looking and overly checking, then that's a problem. Honest. But if he is just like bopping eyes and he's just looking over a few times, to me, you got to let that go. To me, that's your own insecurity. And I actually helped one of my clients today about this. There's two parts to it. You got to have the self-confidence that even if there's another beautiful person there, that your partner truly cares about you. There's just that element to relationships where we can't get away from the gray area. You know what I'm saying? This goes back to like the seeing a hot girl on Instagram thing, right? Or him liking a picture. If he sees another attractive woman, it is what it is. I told you the other day, like if I see a hot chick's profile, yeah, I'll look through it. I'll be like, oh, she's hot. That doesn't mean I don't care about my girl. It doesn't mean I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that I'm like, oh, I'm going to go fuck her, right? Because to me, that's crossing the line. I'm not going to message her or interact with it because to me, that's disrespectful. So I think that's what needs to happen in a relationship where you're experiencing that wandering eye. If you see that behavior, first off, if you've never even said anything about it, speak up, say something. You guys got to draw the line somewhere. Hey, I really don't like when you talk about other girls in front of me like that. And honestly, I seen you staring at that girl the other night and that just doesn't make me feel good. You know what I'm saying? Like I care about you and it really bothers me because it makes me feel like I'm not enough for you. Be real, be vulnerable. This is what we're talking about. But we're scared to say those things because we're like, but if we say that, then they're not going to like me. That's not true. If they like you, they love you, they love you. It's not about, to be honest, you're coming off more fearful and actually more insecure when you're just like, why are you looking at other girls? Like, chill out. Or like you're ODing, right? Let's say it's in excess. There's a way to communicate things in a way that's not off-putting or lacks self-confidence. You could share these things with people. You just have to say it with confidence and just being very direct and vulnerable and real about it. Because if they truly care about you, they'll understand or they'll change their behavior. And also, you just got to have the self-confidence. And if you're a woman, right, and you see the little glancing bullshit, like, you know what I'm saying? Make a joke. Like, oh, you think that girl is better than me? Like, you're fucking funny, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, have the energy that, like, yo, for me in particular, like, I know if I'm sitting with my girl somewhere and there's a good looking dude, like, it is what it is. Okay, he's hot. All right. You got to have that inner security, that inner peace, that inner confidence. It's both sides. But then it's good communication to kind of figure that out. So again, draw the line, set the boundary, and you got to speak up when you need to, right? We're still talking about that. It's not that I'm telling you not to speak up, but it's just speak up in a more vulnerable way. It's speak up and set a boundary and be real. Let them know why something bothers you. Let them know the deeper reason. Hey, it just doesn't make me feel safe. That doesn't make me feel good. Would you like it if I was looking at other guys like that? Ask questions. Get curious. Yo, why do you do that? And this is how we get better. Honestly, I hope you guys have taken something from this podcast today, because I want you to be in a successful relationship. That's what it comes down to. And this is the pathway. All right, that's my podcast. I love you guys. You know where to find me. If you ever want to work with me, this is what I do. Honestly, whether you're single or in a relationship, I love this shit, man. I literally, it's a passion. It's a love. I take it seriously, but also, I'll be real with you. My whole thing is with my coaching, like, I'm going to tell you the uncomfortable shit. Like, if you're fucking up, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let you know if it's you not being vulnerable. I'm going to let you know if it's you being emotionally unavailable. And my whole point is, I can only help you. You know what I'm saying? But if I can help you, I can help you get into a real relationship. Seriously. All right. Time for the newsletter, personality quiz. You guys just hit a fucking link. It's 2024. I don't even need to be promoting myself. It is what it is. You guys got to figure it out. All right. I love you a lot. Give me a little kiss. All right. That's a little sus. It's pride. I'm allowed to do shit like that. All right. Bye.